Okay, here is my lovely audience. They're going to have a seat and I'm going to get started. Okay, today I would like to talk to you about PG-rated movies and why I think they should be more harshly rated. And I want to begin with a quote from Plato's The Republic. "Then shall we allow our children to listen to any story anyone happens to make up, and so receive into their minds ideas often the very opposite of those we shall think they ought to have when they are grown up." The spirit of this quote is becoming more and more important every single year. Kids are exposed to greater amounts of questionable material through movies and videos. We as adults rely on a movie rating board to sort of tell us what we should be putting our kids down in front of. The question is, should we be listening to them? And the answer is no. PG-rated movies should be more harshly rated. First, they are over-sexualized. Second, they are too scary. And third, they contain adult language. PG-rated movies do need to be more harshly rated, and the first thing that we're going to talk about is sexuality in film. The first film that we're going to discuss is called Barbarella. It was originally released in the 1960s. It was released about 2 decades later, and both times it was released as PG. The plot itself isn't that bad. It's about a space spy who was hired to go to a distant planet and stop mad scientists from activating a weapon that could potentially destroy the world. Not that horrible. However, when you get into the content, that's when it gets a little iffy. The first 5 minutes is a spacesuit strip down. It shows our lead heroine's bare chest, bare bottom, and a little bit of pubic area. And it doesn't get much better from there. It also contains 6 scenes of topless women running around. It contains some intercourse. It contains one woman in a BDSM sex swing, and our lead heroine being quote-unquote pleasured to death. Now that does not sound PG rated to me at all. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, you just chose the worst movie that you could find. And while that might be the case, there is more information that needs to be heard. There was a thesis paper written called "Does Sex Sell? A Look at the Effects of Sex and Violence on Motion Picture Revenues." Basically what they did was they tracked motion pictures from 1992 to 2008, and they tracked them for the amount of sex and violence and adult language in each film. What they discovered was that across the board, there was an increase in all of those in every single movie. Basically what it boils down to is what was considered PG-13 16 years ago is what we consider G nowadays. It's completely inappropriate, and yet the MPAA continues to put PG ratings on these. Movies are overly sexualized. Sex does sell, but should we be selling it to kids? And the answer to that is no. So we talked about sexuality in film. Let's move on to the next topic, which is scary images in film. The movie I want to discuss for this is Poltergeist, classic 80s horror movie. It freaks me out, it freaks my wife out, and certainly it should freak kids out. It has scenes like a tree coming to life and trying to eat a young boy. It has a man peeling off his own face. It has a woman being tossed around the room by an unseen entity. It has that woman swimming with a swimming pool full of corpses, and then we have coffins rising from the ground and spilling out their contents. And if that's not enough to prove that it shouldn't be rated PG, it also has drug use, alcohol use, and 16 expletives. And it's not just my wife and I that get freaked out. Other adults get freaked out by it too. Bravo TV had a documentary called 100 Scariest Movie Moments. In it, they took sort of the big boys from the horror movie franchises and had them come in and discuss what they felt were the 100 scariest moments. And Poltergeist came in at number 80. If they're making films scary enough to freak out people that are involved in the horror movie making industry, they are obviously too scary for little kids. Even with parental guidance, even with adult supervision, it shouldn't happen. So we've discussed scary images. Let's move on to the next subject, which is adult language. The movie we're going to discuss here is Jaws, another classic horror movie. Again, it's PG. The amount of swearing in this movie is kind of ridiculous, and I really want to break it down for you. It has 11 uses of the G word, 7 uses of the H word, 5 uses of the D word, 5 uses of the A word, 5 uses of GD, 8 uses of the B word, 2 uses of the S word, 12 uses of other religious entities used in anger. The grand total is 55 expletives. The movie runs for 130 minutes. That means for every 2 minutes and 36 seconds of film time, there is 1 curse word. And if that's not enough, there's also nudity, some drug use, and it was rated as #1 on the 100 scariest movie moments. And again, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, this is another extreme case. In general, people tend to agree with how things are rated. And that is actually not the case at all. The official journal of the American Academy of Pediatrics wrote an article called A Validity Test of Movie, Television, and Video Game Ratings. And what they found was 68% of the American public does not agree with how the MPAA rates things. They went on to say that what they rated PG should never be viewed by anyone under the age of 13. We are still following a sort of board, a rating board, that does not agree with the majority of the population. So why do we continue to listen to them? We've sort of discussed 3 reasons as to why PG movies should be more harshly rated. But what are we supposed to do about it? Movies are an integral role of who we are in our society. It tells us where we came from and where we're going. But where are we going? Are we going to a place where kids are allowed to be exposed to large quantities of nudity and swearing and violence? Should we sit idly by while a ratings board decides what they should be watching? And the answer to that is no. We as adults and as parents need to advocate for our kids. We need to find a different way to find out what's appropriate for them to watch. And I implore everyone to go out and find that alternate route. A great example is there's a website called, it's www.for-kids.com. No, I'm sorry, kids-in-mind.com. And what it is it's a movie rating system, and it's parents that have actually written in their own reviews for thousands of movies, and I recommend you go out and look them up. So in conclusion, PG-rated movies need to be more harshly rated. They are overly sexualized, they are too scary, and they contain way too much adult language. Thank you.